What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a look at some new logos cards. Mass Mutation is leaking out faster and faster, it seems, as time goes by, so we should probably have a little bit of a look at some logos cards. Now, on those print and play decks that they had over in Poland, there was only one of the 5 decks that actually had logos in, and in that one deck, there were 2 logos cards that we've not yet seen before. So I figured, you know what? We should probably have a look at them. They're logos cards now, shouldn't we? There are also a couple others that were revealed not in Polish that have just been leaked out from other decks people have already opened. We'll have a look at those here as well. So starting off then, we've got Titan Engineer. Now, of course, we do tend to see a new Titan in every Keyforge set. It makes sense that we would have one here. We've got ourselves Titan Engineer. What can we say about Titan Engineer? 6 power, 0 armor. So that's kind of high. And the skill, according to Google Translate, but obviously a huge shout out to the lovely Dominic Dabrowski here, who did check my translations, talk it through with me, etc. Lovely dude, incredibly grateful. What it says is, if Titan Engineer is not on a flank, keys cost 1 amber. And it is keys. That is to say, both your keys and your opponent's keys. If this isn't on a flank, all keys cost 1 more amber. Now, of course, this should seem kind of a little bit familiar, because it is the inverse of Titan Mechanic. Titan Mechanic, while it is on a flank, each keys cost 1 less amber. This one, when it's not on a flank, keys cost 1 more amber. It's kind of cool how that works out. It is literally just the opposite of it in essentially every way, and I find that kind of amusing. This could go either way. It's very much like Titan Mechanic, and incidentally, we've also seen Titan Librarian and Titan Guardian, all of whom have skills that revolve around either being or not being on a flank now. And what we basically see here is it can either slow down your opponent, which is very, very good, or it can slow down you, which is very, very bad. But it is with everything, ladies and gentlemen, whereby you need to be a little bit careful and you need to plan this correctly. If you are playing a bit of a rush deck, or you're just playing rush this game, and you are ahead of your opponent, no, you're probably not going to want to play this card. But if you're a little bit behind, then yes, definitely you're going to want to play this. Of course, one of the things your opponent could try and do here is essentially put you on a flank, so keys cost the usual amount, and they would do that either by playing something like Quantum Finger Tap, which allows you to move creatures around in the battle line, or you would do it by just destroying all the flank creatures, so that then this ended up on a flank. Could go either way, but could increase the cost of your opponent forging and win you the game. That's pretty cool. The other one that was revealed in Polish here is Professor Terato, a 4 power 0 armor creature, and it has a permanent skill that reads, each mutant gains reap, draw a card. Oh, cool. It's a mutant helping card. Now, Professor Terato, of course, himself is a mutant, and it is a mutant that helps out mutant. Simple as that. And actually, this is kind of cool. Now, it's not something we haven't seen from logos before. Spectral Tunneler let you choose a creature, and for the remainder of the turn, it was a flank creature that gained reap, draw a card. Academy Training is an upgrade that gives a creature reap, draw a card. And actually, as a non-logos example, Calvin can be played as an upgrade with the text list creature gains, fight or reap, draw a card. Or I suppose you could have a look at Doc Bookton, who just reap, draw a card. The point is, we've seen plenty of things along these lines with logos before. It shouldn't be terribly surprising that this has come out with logos again. It's nice. I mean, look, drawing cards is good. Drawing cards is good in any card game. In some card games, if you don't have cards left in your deck at the beginning of your turn, you deck out and lose the game. But that's not how Keyforge works. So there's not really any downside. I mean, there'll be odd weird downsides here or there, but as a general rule, you're not really seeing any downsides for drawing a card in Keyforge. And of course, there's no resource system in Keyforge. So essentially, all you do is just draw extra cards, and hopefully they are logos cards that you can play right there and then. Except it doesn't just have to be logos. If you've got Rad Penny, for instance, then you're drawing a card when you reap on a Shadows turn. Because, of course, Rad Penny is a Shadows creature, etc., etc., etc. And this builds up very, very quickly, and it just gives you a gigantic card advantage. Now, when this goes away, obviously you lose this on all of your creatures. It giveth to all of your creatures, and when it goes away, it taketh away from all of your creatures. But the fact of the matter is, in the short term, for as long as this stays around, this is giving you extra draw power. If you've got a deck without many mutants in, I suppose it's significantly worse. But if you've got a few mutants and you can give them all extra drawing, this is a very good thing. Now, there are a few others that have been revealed here and there. Shout out to the lovely, amazing spidertank.blogspot.com that is collecting these images and making them easy to find. Let's start off with Casual Loop. When you play it, you archive a card, and you archive Casual Loop. Now, this is a very strange kind of thing, because, of course, at the beginning of your turn, you may choose to either pick up your entire archive, assuming you have one, or none of your archive. So if you're building up a big archive, this is very much a one-shot deal whereby you archive a card and this, and then it does nothing. But what you can do is, for instance, archive a logos card and this, so that you then have fewer cards in your hand at the end of your turn, but then pick it up on your next logos turn and essentially use it to lower your hand size, because at the end of your turn, you're always drawing until you've got 6 cards in hand anyway, so you might as well lower your hand size a bit to draw more cards. Now, of course, there are going to be very specific uses for this, like Eddie, and Eddie is gonna love this. Eddie, of course, is a card that makes your opponent's keys cost 1 more amber for each card in your archive, so clearly being able to archive another card and this to build up a giant archive is redonk. Honestly, most of the time, all you're really gonna do is archive a card, but then you also get another card out of your hand, so you're drawing more at the end of your turn, and you've got 1 fewer card in your deck, so nominally you're going to be slightly better at drawing what you need than you usually would be. It's not going to give you a huge advantage most of the time, but certainly with stuff like Eddie that takes advantage of how many cards you've got in your archive, this could be a genuine flat-out phenomenal card. Is it any better than Lab Work, which is just an action card that lets you archive a card? No. Plus, it doesn't have an amber bonus like Lab Work does. But the fact that you can keep using it over and over again and it keeps coming back is great. But it only comes back when you take your archive, which is not always going to be what you're looking for. Still, it means you're going to archive more effectively if you just want to archive the odd card. And certainly, let's say you really want to stash a Doorstep to Heaven, what you can essentially do is archive this, and then when you draw Doorstep to Heaven, you can take this out your archive and then immediately play it to archive Doorstep to Heaven. Wait until the right time. In that regard, it is a really good card, but it is going to be extremely awkward to use. There we go. Evan Ivan, a 4-power, 0-armor creature, and it has an action whereby if your opponent has an even amount of amber, you steal 1 amber. Now, if you compare this to similar Shadows cards, or indeed non-Shadows cards, it ain't great. Pit Demon just steals you an amber. That's quite a bit better. We could have a look at something like Breaker Hill that gives each of its neighbours steal an amber. Javinda deals damage to a creature, and if it destroys them, it steals an amber when you reap. Chain Gang steals an amber, but also shuffles a subtle chain from your discard pile into your deck. You see where I'm going with this? There are better options that we've seen in terms of creatures being able to steal an amber. But that's kind of irrelevant. I say this quite a lot in Keyforge and in other card games. It doesn't matter what theoretically other cards have done in the past or might be able to do in the future. The only thing that's really important is what options you have in your deck right now. And the fact of the matter is that for a logos card, this is pretty gosh darn good. Maybe other houses and other sets have better options, but actually I don't think logos generally does. And I mean, I just went over to dexofkeyforge.com and searched for cards that have a skill that lets you steal an amber. Guess how many of them were logos? There was actually one, it was Bat Drone, which lets you fight and steal an amber and has skirmish, so if you start the fight you will survive. I don't like this as much as I like Bat Drone. Plus you get to go no Bat Drone. So yeah, I think Bat Drone's better than this. Plus you're fighting, it's not just your action for the turn. But you know what? If you don't have any better options, this'll have to do. Worse than a lot of the equivalent cards, but if you don't have equivalent cards, gutted. It is still amber control at the end of the day. Your opponent still ends up with less amber. You still end up with more amber, so it ain't all bad. And finally, Infomorph. It is a 4-power, 0-armor creature with no skills, although it does have a beautiful, firstly artwork, but also flavor text, always clear your search history, Dr. Escatera. It brings in 2 draw enhancements, which means by virtue of having Infomorph in your deck, 2 other cards in your deck will let you draw an extra card when you play it. Or I suppose because it's random, 1 card might let you draw 2 extra cards. Either way, there will be 2 draw a card enhancements in your deck. Fine. It's not great, but we're going to see this with a bunch of cards in Mass Mutation. They are underwhelming cards in and of themselves, but they're bringing in these enhancements, which is really where the value comes in. A 4-power, 0-armor creature with no skills ain't something to get excited about, quite frankly. But drawing 2 extra cards is, and if this was a 4-power, 0-armor creature that let you draw 2 cards, then I would be talking about it in a far better light. It doesn't draw you 2 cards, but your deck will draw 2 extra cards if you play every card in it, if that makes any kind of sense. I don't know. I'm slightly reticent about these vanilla cards that give enhancements. I don't know how good they're going to be, and if you want my honest answer, I don't think there is going to be a straight answer. I don't think there is going to be a, these are amazing or these are terrible. I think it really depends. Some decks will take far better advantage of these than others. Simple as that. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a bunch of new logos cards. I'm kind of excited looking at new Keyforge cards. And given that a bunch of decks have now made it out into the wild early, but we're not upset about this, it means we will be doing a whole bunch more Keyforge reveals and analysis over the next few days. And then, of course, when the entire set is out, we will do our usual deal whereby we do videos about every single card in every single house. And also look at fun things like, well, top 10 cards in each set, etc. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about these lovely new cards, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, where we talk Keyforge and a bunch of other games, and please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourself till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.